evening and welcome to PNW Athletics Today. I'm Rick Costello, Director of Athletics and the host for the show today. I am joined in studio by head women's basketball coach Courtney Locke, head baseball coach Dave Griffin, and head men's soccer coach Luke Dunn. How are you guys today?
We're great.
Yeah, feeling good.
All right. Well, it's a little chilly start to the day, Coach, but what's the forecast look like for the game?
From what I've seen, it's going to be about 57 degrees, a little windy and sunny.
Can't complain for April, right?
No, not at all.
No snow out there, so we're good.
We're good.
All right. Well, we're going to do a coaches roundtable today and talk about many of the issues affecting college athletics today. There's been a lot of change, but first I want to talk about the other night we had our Leo Awards, our year-end banquet, and some big recognitions. I know that, Coach, two of your student athletes were highly recognized. Kennedy Jackson won the John Friend Award, and Mercedes Simmons won the Female Athlete of the Year, along with Maddie Roop.
Yeah, it was amazing to see all of our student athletes get celebrated. Just a year in review. It's just amazing to see. Huge shout out to Natalie Jarrett, who ran the event. It's probably one of the most favorite events that's on campus that we put on for our student athletes, and to be able to feed them and be able to celebrate them is amazing.
Coach, you've been to this event many years. What do you think? The Leo Awards.
It just keeps getting better and better. I mean, the presentation was awesome. The way they set it up now, it's got a good flow to it. It is exciting. It is exciting to watch these kids, and as you get to know them, watch them develop and become really, really prominent citizens and great ambassadors for the school. So I think it's a fun event.
Coach Dunn, it was a big night for men's soccer. Hugo Lorenzo was recognized as one of the two male athletes of the year. Your team had a special year. Your thoughts on the Leo Awards?
Yeah, like the other coaches have said, great event. It's always nice for the student athletes to get recognized for all the hard work they do, and I think for them to recognize one another is special as well because they're so supportive of each other throughout the year, and you can really see it at that event. Regardless of who wins, there's a lot of support, and even for a team like esports to show up and be there and hear the recognition they get from the rest of the athletes, it was a nice event to be at, and I think the students really love it.
There was lots of cheers and applause for our esports program that has won 4 championships this year, and League of Legends is in the national tournament this weekend. So cool stuff. All right, so let's talk about NCAA. The rules and regs are changing fast, especially at the upper level, Division I. I call it the NCAA deregulation these days. But why don't we kick off the conversation? What is it like to recruit today, student athletes? Coach Dunn, what thoughts come to your mind with recruitment?
It's different every year because it changes so much. It used to be, and it used to be as if it's a long time in the past, but even just, 5-10 years ago, it was primarily freshmen is what you're recruiting. Occasionally you may look into your transfer, but it's really freshmen and kind of look at players that can come in and build around and develop. And that's kind of going away now with some of the transfer rules and how easy it is for the student athletes to go from school to school. So now you don't want to necessarily take it year by year. That's kind of the outlook you have to have now, and it's shifted a little bit to where, the 4-year project isn't necessarily the leading driver of your recruiting now. It's shifted a little bit, and you still want that. You still want consistency throughout your program. You still want to get in young players that can help your program, but building around that has become a lot harder. So I think as coaches, we just have to shift with the changes that are being made.
And the changes are coming fast and quick. Last week, I think NCAA said you can transfer right away, Division I, and play right away. Division II followed it earlier this week. Coach, in your 11 years, what changes have you seen and where are we headed?
Oh, tremendous changes. I mean, I agree with Luke. I try to bring in freshmen, a lot of them. You need to have loyalty. The kids' education has to be a part of it. And now kids, it's with the NIL, it's money. They're like hired as guns, and it's like, it's tough. You got to really get to know a kid. That's why, I still try to get those freshmen. And then the junior college kids, they're so, it's almost like a flip of a coin. because I don't think they realize how hard Division II is. Mm-hmm. And, it's tough. These kids they know what's at stake. And, the game got a little tougher to play, for sure.
Coach Locke, your thoughts on recruitment? And Dave mentioned NIL there.
There's probably a lot of thoughts in all of our heads. But I think the thing is that because someone sees something, you'll see some of the players, especially, at the Division I level, go and transfer and they'll win a national championship, or they'll do this. And I think it's hard for the student athletes to understand that what they see is not necessarily their circumstances. And, on the women's basketball side, we have over 2,000 in the transfer portal. Between Division I, II, and III, there's only 1,100 schools. And so, I think right now it's just such a big hype, but the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And I think there's going to be some telltale signs of that as this continues to move forward.
So talk about that. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Athletics teaches the lessons of persistence and perseverance and resiliency in the face of adversity. But now with the transfer portal, it's a flip of a switch. Perhaps maybe you're not playing as much as you want. As coach, you mentioned coming in, bring them in, developing them, and now they're just gone.
Yeah, and I think that's the piece of it that, Luke was mentioning, that you have to adjust and adapt from year to year, and I know you've said it, try to make ourselves portal proof as much as possible. But when you have access to leave at any time, just think about if it was a job that you could leave at any time, right? And so I think some of them are going to learn that lesson, and then some of them it's going to work out for them. And I think, they're going to have to figure this out on their own and what this looks like. But I do think it takes away the ability to persevere and to fight through adversity. If you can just jump the gun anytime you want and just leave anytime you want. And that's the greatest thing about coaching. And Dave mentioned it. We get these kids in as freshmen and you get to see them through their 4 years. That's why we do what we do.
Talk about some of the great programming you have done to make us portal proof. You've really poured into our kids as far as mental wellness. This week we have a rage car on campus. Last year we had puppies during the stressful time leading up to finals. We're working really closely with our counseling office on campus, our dean of students. Talk about some of these programs.
Yeah, it takes a village, right, to do this. Yep. And we have some amazing partners on campus. We're really working hard with counseling services. We know where the mental health state is in athletics and just our youth across the country. And we really want to make sure that this is a safe space for them. We're looking to get some training for our coaches as well to make sure that we're all prepared to handle these situations. The Rage Car is a hit. Tell
everybody what that is.
So we get a car donated from a junkyard, and we bring out baseball bats thanks to baseball and softball, and it's just a way to relieve stress. And to see the smile after their first hit is pretty phenomenal. And then we try to get the puppies on campus to give them some love and some hugs, but it's really about creating this great student-athlete experience for them and making sure that they feel at home and feel safe, because we know kind of what's going on right now.
Luke, what do you do to be portal proof?
Yeah, I think going along with what Courtney said is you got to give them a good experience outside of just the field. We practice 2 hours a day, but what does the other 22 hours look like? That's the big part. So as coaches, we try and communicate with them as much as we can, encourage them to do things with each other outside of the field, try and make just welcoming environment where they can say, hey, even if things aren't going 100% on the field, I'm still having a good time. I'm still enjoying my experience here. I still have a great relationship with my coaches, my teammates, the athletic staff, my professors. I'm still getting a good education. So we're not just saying, hey, if sports don't work out here, if they're not killing it, they're not going to be happy. We want it to be more than just that. So I think a lot of it is looking at really their experience is off the field, sometimes more than on, because that's such a big part of their day and such a big part of their time that if that's not good, even if things are going well on the field, they still may not enjoy it. So I think you have to focus on the things outside of just your traditional sport things as well. What's going on in their everyday life? What are classes like? Their relationships, all of that, and make sure that is a good, enjoyable experience for them.
Dave, I'm always amazed. You start the season with 50 guys for a sport where there's only 9 that play at once. How do you make that equation work?
I think communication is one of the big things. I kind of lay out a plan for the kids and say, this is kind of how it's going to go here. Your first couple of years, you hope to get on the field, contribute a little bit, learn a lot. I say my biggest saying to the kids is you got to learn how to watch a game. You don't learn how to watch a game by just sitting there. You have to be intent, know what's going on. So when you get put in that situation, you're not just, well, I didn't practice. Well, you need to learn how to watch a game. And the other thing is, I always tell kids, you're here your first 2 years. If you can play some summer baseball, that's great. Don't play too much where you get hurt. But by your junior year, I want you doing internships. That's what's important. I said, baseball's taking you this far. For that 0.5%, it's going to take you past this level. But, it's time to get a job and, be in the workforce and, have a productive life. And that's what probably I'm most proud of the kids, that they're graduating, they're going on, they're good citizens. And, this is just a small stepping stone, to life. I mean, if you get out of here at 22, you still got 40 years to work. 40 years is a long time.
Yes,
so
it is.
I try to give it to them like that. And one thing that I've kind of stayed with, and I know you've touched on it a few times, is I try to give them some days off. So it's not a grind. And then I said, because their bodies do get worn down over, you're talking 3-4 months of sport every day doing this stuff. And, the issues with school, the mental issues, they stressed out. And, sometimes just staying away from it a little bit works wonders.
That's a great way to re-energize, refresh, and be ready to go down the stretch for a baseball team. So let's shift to conference realignment. The rivalries that we all grew up with are changing all the time. Your alma mater, Rutgers, is in the Big Ten, many more schools than 10. And now UCLA and USC, am I right? Yeah, those two. Now, so Rutgers could be flying across the country for any sport to play in California.
Yeah. Student athlete experience. I don't know if that's the key in that one. I don't know. It was sad. I watched the Pac-12 championship, and USC won it, and that was the last time that it happened. And Tara Vanderveer retired this year, and she had a really thought out speech for all the coaches as well in the Pac-12. There's a piece that it's I think it's all driven by the TV contracts and money.
Yep.
But there's a piece of it that's kind of sad because you see what, especially on the women's basketball side, how many great coaches were in that conference and all the players that played in that conference. And I talk about it all the time. When I was at Rutgers, we were in the Big East, and we won a conference tournament. We won a conference championship, and we had, Cappy Pondexter was on our team, top 25 WNBA player of all time. Is there anything that we're ever recognized in the Big East anymore? Like, probably not.
Sure.
And then we're not recognized in the Big Ten,
right?
Because we didn't play in the Big Ten. So, I don't know. It's a very unique, touchy subject. But
you lose some of these traditions, that's for sure. So, Coach Dunn, where do you think we're headed at the Division I level? Is it just going to be the SEC and the Big Ten, and everybody else is going to cease to exist?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Because along the lines of conference realignment, I think it's the same dilemma. Is they make these decisions primarily for football and the basketball programs, but they're not asking the wrestling student, what do you think about it? They're not asking the soccer players, the softball and baseball players. And, a big reason a lot of players choose the school they choose, or at least it was that way, is, hey, it's close to home, mom and dad can come see my games. But now if they go to Rutgers and they're playing in Southern California, like, mom and dad probably aren't going to make that game unless that's where they're from. So I mean, and even for us in men's soccer, we were debating adding a school that's 12 to 16 hours away for every conference team but one. So I mean, even it's starting to trickle down to the Division II level. So I think the focus is pretty narrow right now on, hey, a lot of these decisions are being made with a really small number of student athletes in mind. But those student athletes and those programs and those schools carry a lot of weight and a lot of power. So it's hard not to listen to their voice as well because, again, like you said, TV contracts, money, that's where it's all at. So that's kind of the driving force behind it. But is it going to be great for the majority of student athletes? My gut probably says no. So that's where it's going to get really tricky to see what decisions are made, how does it impact student athletes as a whole, and then how, when it happens, how do some schools try and fix it and say, maybe this isn't what we wanted necessarily for the 12, 15 other programs at our school that we still have to staff and deal with and have student athletes for. So
that's a great point. How are they going to fix it? But that should be interesting. And you also talked about the money angle on this whole thing. And with that, that's a great segue. I'm going to thank some corporate champions, and then we're going to do a shift change here. So big shout out to, we had Dave Giving yesterday, and a big shout out to our corporate champions, Purdue Fed, Credit Union, Jeff Love is always a big supporter, Scott Sparks, Laborers Local 41, Pepsi right down in Munster, Steve Olszewski, appreciate him, Rush Physical Therapy, MJ Polish Deli. Coach, the best sandwiches in town, right?
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about it.
Big thanks to Mariola, the Kitchell Group at Morgan Stanley, Domino's, always so supportive of our athletics program. Byway Brewing, Phil is tremendous, right?
He is. He's fantastic.
Bridges Scoreboard, I was down to see Jeff Bridges, Coach. I know you're a frequent visitor to Bridges Scoreboard, the great sports bar.
If you want to watch sports, they got a ton of TVs in there. You'll catch something, that's for sure.
And great food. Fairfield Inn, a new one, House of Pizza, your buddy Danny Zunica.
Yeah, Danny does a good job. We had the kids loved the burgers and chicken sandwiches yesterday before the game. Danny does a great job. They're always so helpful to us, and his pizza is off the charts.
Courtyard, Residence Inn, Hammond Machine Works, big thanks to Peter Nall, Kyle Dempsey right down the street here, Lithographics, and of course Jed TV that produces over 150 of our events. All right, we're going to do a shift change and be back with some of our other coaching colleagues. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to PNW Athletics Today. I'm the host, Rick Costello, and Director of Athletics at Purdue Northwest, and I am joined in studio by, we're going to do a shift change, so I'm joined by the hockey coach here, Carl Trozine. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing well.
Coach Mary Whistler, how are you?
I'm wonderful, Rick.
All right, and Coach Douglas Volleyball, how's it going?
Killing it.
All right, I love it. Speaking of killing it, yesterday was Purdue Northwest Day of Giving, and an awesome day for the university. So congrats to Vice Chancellor Goodnight and the advancement team on raising over $2 million. Athletics came in with over $269,000. 888 gifts. The tallies aren't all final yet, but volleyball was killing it yesterday.
We had some motivation after losing the last couple of years to Mary over here because her girls were killing it. So we learned to play the game correctly.
All right. Well, congrats on the
Thank
big
you.
effort. And I know there was some late push at the end of the night there, Coach Whistler.
We gave it everything we had, Rick, but this one hurts. I'm not going to lie. This one hurts.
All right. Hockey had a good showing in Day of Giving.
Yeah, I think we finished second behind volleyball, so we'll take it.
All right. Excellent. So the other night was the Leo Awards. Just want to get your guys' thoughts on it. You had a couple big award winners.
Yeah, we did pretty well, so I can't complain.
Patrick Hayes had an award. Why don't you tell us about him?
Academic top academic male athlete, so that was huge. Patty's just a really good student, and he takes a huge workload. He's at like 18, 19 credits every semester. So he actually finished his bachelor's in 3 years, so props to him.
Just like you were taking 20, 25 credits a semester, right?
Not quite. Oh, man.
And then you had National Player of the Year, Sam Bordage.
Sammy
Was our
Bordage.
male athlete of the year.
Yeah.
One of two.
Yep, National Player of the Year, so that's huge for us, obviously, having a kid garner that kind of award. So we are super excited about for Sammy, and can't wait to see what he does next year.
Speaking of good students, women's volleyball, Lauren Sanders,
Yep.
Female Scholar Athlete of the Year.
She has been on Dean's List every semester. Is just basically you take a picture of what you want all your student athletes to look like on the academic side, and she nails it every single time.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Mary, your thoughts on the Leo Awards?
Well, Sean edged me out in the Team Academic Award again. So basically, this is, I think, where I just leave right now. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was wonderful. Leo's were a beautiful campus at Westville, and honestly, a great experience. We put on a wonderful event.
Awesome. All right, guys, so let's dig into some of the things that are facing college athletics today. We've got NIL, we've got transfer portal, we've got conference realignment, we've got student-athlete employment. What do you want to talk about? All right, let's do transfer portal. Sean, what's your thoughts on that?
Transfer portal is, I always think there's always an overcorrection when these things. So I think the transfer portal is still the wild, wild west. There's so many people entering. I think there's a lot of athletes not really thinking it through. And unfortunately, I think they look at the model of the big D1 schools where those kids are going to get picked up right away, right? You see kids now graduating at 25 years old, right, for football and basketball. And I don't know if that model really fits for us yet. So I think as it starts to calm down, I think we'll start to be able to kind of get some of those kids who are truly transferred for the right reasons as opposed to just kind of school hopping every single year.
How many volleyball student athletes are you seeing in the portal these days?
A lot. That's a big deal. And I think, too, it may calm down a little bit after the COVID year. I think a lot of female athletes were using that COVID year to go get – they may have got a 4-year scholarship at a different school, and they transferred over because I think some of those teams were already picking up beforehand and kind of ran out of room. So I think that was a big deal, too. So we might see it dissipate a little bit.
Mary, your thoughts on the portal?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it hits mid-major D1s probably the most. They're looking a little bit more like the JUCO for Power 5s and Power 4s. So I don't know. I mean, I couldn't imagine going to make all my friends my freshman, sophomore year and then leaving for, athletics. So to be fair, I wish people valued relationships a little bit more. That would be the one piece where I feel like that's where I'm building. But yeah, I just noticed that I've coached a lot of youth club, and a lot of parents are really getting involved, and kids aren't doing their research, and we're being the 39th kid on a 40-person roster, where the writing's almost on the wall that we're probably not going to play, and then we're transferring because we're not playing. But to be fair, the answers are all in front of us, so it's just kind of doing your research a little bit more and asking questions to people who can help you.
I think you make a really great point about relationships. This past February, we inducted the 2013-14 women's basketball team into the PNW Athletics Hall of Fame, and those women that were on that team all came as freshmen, went 4 years and graduated, and then it was so wonderful to see them come back, some of them with their husbands, their kids, their families that were supporting them back 10 years ago. So those relationships they have for life. If you start transferring around, you're gonna miss some of that.
Absolutely.
Really important. Is there a portal in hockey, or is it just an informal portal?
For us, I mean, NCAA there is. For us, it's an informal portal. But what we're seeing is because of junior hockey, a lot in those 2 years where kids go play junior hockey, a lot of kids are amassing some college credits. So then they get to graduate and they still have some eligibility left. So that's why, like the D1 NCAA level, you're seeing a ton of grad student transfers who have 1 year of eligibility left.
Yep.
So where do I want to go play my last year? Because I'm coming in with 20, 30 credits, right? So I'm already a sophomore, but I'm actually playing a freshman year. So you just start seeing those grad kids that need to go burn a year and they get to go play somewhere. And I think the portal, I think it's great that we have kids who it's a fresh start for the kids that need a fresh start when it's used properly.
Yes. Well said.
And I completely understand from a student athlete standpoint. There's things that play into it where it's in the best interest of the kid to maybe get a fresh start or move closer. And for those purposes,
Coach changes.
Yeah. I think it's awesome. Give them some flexibility. But I think when we go to the next topic, which is probably NIL, and we start figuring NIL and portal together, I think that's where the water really muddies. And now it's not for the right reasons. Right now it's for financial gain, and then it gets crazy.
What are the numbers that you're seeing when you hear NIL mixed in with the transfer portal?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm not hearing a ton. I'm not in that world where I have to worry about it. How about that?
So what's your thoughts with NIL, Coach Douglas?
I think, like, for us specifically, I don't think it's a huge thing yet. And I think for women's volleyball in general, it's a lot of locals. So we'll take, like, the best team in the country, Nebraska, for instance, right? A lot of local car dealerships might sponsor some kids, but we're not seeing Gatorade like Caitlin Clark's getting and all those big ones yet. I think that'll start trickling into volleyball in the D1. Of course, then us, it'll maybe filter down to, but I think we're looking more of a local thing. So for us, numbers aren't really anything yet, but I think that's another way because we're trying to get corporate champions here, some sponsors for PNW, but you're starting to, like, maybe they'll start sponsoring kids a little bit too, which I think is really cool too.
Sean mentioned Caitlin Clark, Mary. What a phenomenal student athlete. She just changed women's sports tremendously this year. Outdrew the men's game in the championship. What's your thoughts?
Absolutely. I'm an Indiana. I'm a Hoosier, so her joining Indiana Fever, pretty cool with Grace Berger, from IU. Honestly, and just us having the Big Ten in the final and watching her play, it's really cool to watch her revolutionize basketball. But so many pioneers before her. But it's all about the media and how much attention women's sports have gotten. So it's really nice to see that pick up and actually get the credit it's deserved because we've had people who've done this path before her. But it's really incredible. I mean, we'll take the time, we'll take it when it comes, and we're excited that people are riding this wave with us because we've been on it.
Phenomenal to see what happened this year, and really a good point that she's going to be in Indianapolis. So I bet you those tickets are going to be a little bit pricey.
Oh yeah, they are.
Absolutely. Student athlete employment. You guys are probably keeping up on that subject. What are your thoughts about at the upper level, student athletes becoming full-time employees? Recently at Dartmouth, the National Labor Relations Board said that they could unionize. That, of course, is in the court system. But, Mary, thoughts on student-athlete employment?
Yeah, Rick, I don't know. We're just gonna take it when it hits us, But, I'm all for, people's rights and all that. The mess it could create in different areas we don't know yet. Right. I literally just want everyone to be happy and healthy. Is that a political response? Did I win?
Right down the center.
Oh, great. Thank you, everybody. Good job.
Sean?
I'm kind of on Mary's thought here. I don't know how that affects us.
Right.
So, and I'm also, got to be honest, I'm not really a lawyer, so I have no clue what that even means in really, really deep technical aspects. In general, I understand it, but I think it's more of it's all related, right? The NIL money, the transfer portal, becoming employees. I think it's all related as we start to see what Power 5 does. Do they want to break off from NCAA? They want to be part of it still. NCAA, we love the NCAA here at PNW, makes a lot of money off of student athletes. And I think it's about time we start to kind of figure that out. But unfortunately, I think it sometimes goes too far one way until we kind of, we find that middle ground, which I still think student athletes are trying to find, the NCAA is trying to find. But at the end of the day, it's always run by what? Money. So as that kind of figures it out, we'll see how we'll react appropriately.
Okay, well, we're going to end it up with a question. What are you so excited about Purdue Northwest as we head to the future here? This is our last show of the year. The school year is winding down really quickly. Coach, what are you so excited as you look to the future?
No, there's a lot of really, really good things happening. And one of the things that I'll point out real fast is my peers. There's a lot of really good coaches here that we're surrounded by, and I feel lucky for that. And I think that that's exciting because when you got really good coaches who have a ton of energy and do build relationships, and I think that's something we all do very, very well, puts us in a really good spot to recruit and bring student athletes in that make us better, and across the board we all get better.
It's been It's just an absolutely exciting year. If you wind the calendar back exactly 1 year, 11 championships have been won in the last year. Of course, your squad went to the Elite Eight, got a GL, CHL championship, and that was so cool to see how the university rallied around ice
No,
hockey.
absolutely.
Coach, what are you excited about as you look to the future?
We just finished our second season, right? We're looking for our third. In our little bubble, I just really excited for the growth of women's volleyball. But I mean, I want to second Carl. Like, I love walking down our coach's hallway, stopping by Mary's office, stopping by your office, stopping by Dave's. Everyone's office is always open. It's great. It's really fun and supportive. And I think that it bleeds into our athletes. You can see our athletes are now starting to do a better job of supporting other teams. I'm seeing teams play better. Mary just had a huge win against Lewis in her spring tournament, which is we're going to be trying to catch Mary pretty soon. I'm telling you, she's killing it. But like it's fun to be part of her journey and all of us kind of like in it together. Like, hey, that was cool. How was St. Louis? How was nationals? How are all these things looking? Luke's getting rings yesterday. You know, it's so neat to see everybody thriving but supporting. There's no jealousy in the hallway, which I think is really cool.
It's great to see the character of the students that you all are bringing to Purdue Northwest. You know, you had a student that was Team Impact Teammate of the Year, Isaac Hyde. That's really pretty special. Make-A-Wish, how we're involved in that. The faculty staff basketball game. Did you really sit on the 10-point line?
She did. Yeah, she did. Absolutely.
Couldn't score, could they?
Working with Northwest Indiana Food Bank.
Our Dub Club was awesome.
Our Dub Club, getting into the local schools. It's really great to see, they're so focused on achieving academically and athletically, but they're giving back to the community. Mary, what are you so excited about as we head to the future?
We're in our, 8th year D2?
Seventh.
Just what we've kind of, accomplished here, and from somebody who's building something in one of the toughest women's soccer conferences in the country, it's got to be sustainable, right? So that's been my process. It's slower, but oh my gosh, building it from the ground up and investing in these young players. But it's about the energy and watching, teams win around us, go to the final, the Elite Eight, and win GLIAC championships. It's happening here. So it's kind of about building your own timeline, and mine's different, but the energy from my coworkers, from my players, it's contagious, and you can definitely feel a shift in just our department with not just the coaches, the players. Is, the biggest piece for me. That's culture.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Again, we've really invested the people, the process, and the culture, and we are seeing the fruit on the tree from that process. So it's great. I know Sean liked that. That was from the John Gordon book.
Oh, my favorite stuff.
All right. Well, it's been an awesome year. Let me just thank some corporate champions. Crazy Kaplan always takes great care of us. Corellis Roofing, corporate champion. NWI 24/7 ER and hospital right down the road here on Indianapolis Boulevard. Big shout out to Rick Kalinsky at NIPSCO. Miller Pizza, Elsie Goldberg.
Huge hockey person.
Yes.
Love her. She's awesome.
Love her pizza. Montesol, big shout out to Matt Harris. Langle's Pizza, Rodney Langle, thank you very much for your support. People's Bank, just worked with Christina Wagner. She supported us for Day of Giving. Pangier, Spark Marketing, Sly Fox Creative, Strack Van Til, Chicago Classic, Signature Transportation. I know lots of you prefer Signature when you're taking your teams on the road. Lithographics, Wintrust, big thanks to Gil Rinberg for his support, and South Shore CVA. If you'd like to be a corporate champion, please give me a ring. I'm still fundraising. Day of Giving's over, and I'm still fundraising. Call me, Rick Costello, at 219-989-2540. Well, that wraps up Purdue Northwest Athletics Today for the 23-24 school year. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at all the games that are finishing up our spring season, and then, of course, next fall for women's soccer, women's volleyball, and ice hockey. Thanks so much for watching the show, and go Pride!